Hello. Today I would like to talk about the Crucible mechanic and its limitations when it comes to unique merging. In my last video that I published, I talked about trying to get a 17% strength Redblade Banner through merging an already 11% strength Redblade Banner with a 6% strength Redblade Banner. And in that video, I commented that every single try that I attempted was roughly a 50 divine investment. And I got pretty unlucky and I was able to acquire my 17% strength shield after 6 attempts. Now, some of you may be shocked to believe that a unique with only 3 ideal nodes would cost close to a mirror, but I have done a little bit of math to show you why not just the Redblade Banner, but any unique would be extremely costly to make if you want a perfect 3 to 4 node item. And I believe GGG made a little bit of an underestimation on how rare these items actually are. So, for the past week or so, I have been buying Redblade banners for between 20 and 40 chaos, and I bought roughly 300 of them. And in addition to this, I also had to purchase a corresponding 300 primordial remnants, and I had to run my ass through the corridors of the Crucible 300 times to generate these trees. Thus, my average cost for each shield that I purchased was roughly 60 chaos. And I'm giving a ballpark estimate. I didn't exactly notate every single success that I got, but on screen right now is a rough estimate of the results of those 300 shields, and that is 15 of those 300 shields generated the 5% strength node, which is the first node on the shield and can only spawn in the first node. Thus, in my experience, it was a 5% chance for that node to generate on an item. Thus, at a 5% rate, at a cost of 60 chaos each, the cost per success rate of getting this node is roughly 5.5 divines. Additionally, if you look at the 4% strength node, this generated fairly significantly more than the 5% strength node. Even though PoE says the weightings are the same, I think that since the 4% strength and the 6% strength can spawn in either the third row or the fourth row, and or there are more possible locations in which it can spawn, they are being generated more. Thus, I saw roughly 34% strength nodes. Thus, percentage-wise is 10%, and again, at the cost of 60 chaos per shield. Thus, getting a 4% strength shield is roughly worth 2.7 divines. And the same can be said for the 6 strength. While I did see less of these, statistically, and I would think logically, I should have seen equivalent 6 strength or 4 strength, unless there's actual weighting that PoE is missing. But maybe I got unlucky, but I saw 26 strength nodes, thus at a 6.7% percentile success rate at a cost of 60. Each one of these 6% strength nodes was worth 4 divines. And I hit the jackpot, kind of, 3 times, in which I got a 5% strength node, in addition to at least one 4% strength node and 6% strength node. Thus, I naturally rolled 3 times an 11% and or a 9% strength shield, which I believe I got 2 9% and one 11%. Thus, at a percentage success rate of 1%, and again, 60 chaos per shield, each one of these shields is worth 27 divines. And obviously, I could have gotten a triple node if RNGesus was smiling upon me, but that didn't happen, so there was 0 natural triple nodes that spawned. But as I showed in my last video, I did get a successful merge on a triple after 6 tries, but from what I have experienced with other items and what the community believes it to be, the merging of a 3 node item into the missing node, which I talk about more in my video on how the Crucible mechanic works, I should have had a success rate of 25%. Thus, adding up all the numbers, a triple node should be worth 140 divines. Now I say should because this really isn't true, and this is where the crux of the issue arises. If you go to PoE Ninja, you can see that there are currently 2,000 Redblade banners on the market. And if we click on the graph, as you can see, since the league launch, it has skyrocketed in price from 2 chaos to 30 chaos. And if you see the jump from 20 chaos to 30 chaos, this is where I was purchasing my 300 shields. Thus, if there was 2,000 shields on the market, and I purchased 300 of them, I roughly purchased 15% of all the Redblade banners. Now, I'm not the only one that has been doing this kind of crafting, as you can see from the listings that there may be a few other people that are doing a similar strategy, but I don't know if they went as hard as I did with purchasing 300 shields. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that I was purchasing roughly half of all the shields going into the market for the past week. Thus, if I purchased 300, let's say in the game, people were listing 600 Redblade banners for this week. Now, this is an issue because let's say there was 2 of me, or 3 of me, or 4 of me, or 10 of me. That 140 divine success rate would scale linearly with the amount of people that are attempting and or wanting a triple node shield. Thus, instead of going from 20 chaos to 30 chaos, Redblade banners would probably have gone from like 20 chaos to 80 chaos. Thus, the average success rate cost for each Redblade banner success would have skyrocketed. Thus, instead of a triple Redblade banner being worth 140, it'd be worth 300 divine or 250 divine. And at some point, it becomes so ridiculous that it requires the chancing of an item to be remotely worth it. So, giving the Redblade banner example, the entire marketplace of all of PoE realistically will only allow maybe around 10 people to get a triple Redblade banner per week out of the entire community. Thus, if someone created a popular strength build which needed a Redblade banner for strength and it took off, all the people that were either watching the guide video or watching someone on Twitch use it would not be able to acquire this item. Additionally, when I say the success rate value is 140 divines, this is kind of true, kind of not. So this is based off a 25% success rate, and this 25% success rate is generated based on you having a double node that has a missing node in which you're combining the second Redblade banner in the perfect spot to get a 4-node combine. Now, if what you just heard was a bunch of gibberish, then I suggest you go watch how my Crucible mechanic works. But basically, there's a higher chance for there to be a triple or quadruple merge when there's a missing node. Thus, for example, maybe I got unlucky in my 300 shields and all 20 of the 6 strength nodes generated in the 3rd line and none of them generated in the 4th line. Well, then it would be impossible for me to generate and or merge a triple shield because I just wouldn't have the parts for it. Thus, while I say it's a 25% chance of success, this kind of requires the trading of certain parts between players. So if I had a 6% node twice, and I basically had the same 6% item, I would have to list one of them, and then hopefully one of the 10 people or so that are trying to generate a triple shield would purchase my duplicate shield, and then hopefully they would have a duplicate shield in which I could purchase to merge for this 25% success rate. Now, while this is fine for the Redblade banner, because it is not a T0 or I don't think it's a T1 unique, since there's 2,000 or so listed, it's a fairly common unique. This is an issue when you get to rarer items. So over the past 48 hours, I have also tried to start crafting the Moroi Urhi for a build that I want to do. Now, Moroi is a T0 unique, and currently no one's playing it, which is why I started crafting it, because it was actually economically feasible, kind of. So, you can see that there are 400 total Morohis on the market, and over the past 48 hours, I have purchased 60 of them, which is roughly 15% of the market, which is kind of a similar percentage that I used for the shield. But since there are so low number of Morohis, you run into an issue which, if I get a duplicate item in which the node is in the same spot, thus the duplicate is irrelevant to me, I can't really sell or trade it to someone that is doing the same strategy as me. Because if there's even 1, 2, 4 people, if there's 4 people doing the same strategy as me, the increase in price of Morohis would make it economically infeasible to do a 3-node or 4-node merge. And if you see the graph for the price of Morohis, you can see this. So in May 2nd, the price of Morohi drastically increased from 40 to 80 chaos. And this wasn't me, but I think someone like me with the same idea as me started purchasing all the Morohis and then throwing them into the Crucible and then merging them, which is why the price doubled. Either that or someone maybe released a video on the Morohi, I don't know, whatever. Someone was purchasing Morohis. There was in demand. And this was a doubling of the price compared to the complete flat line of the 40 chaos that it was for several weeks. Now, what was me is the past day. So in the past day, it was at 40 chaos for May 9th, and I was purchasing Marohis between the prices of 40 and 100 chaos. And again, I purchased around 60 of them. And while it does say 70 chaos, there's not really any more on the market for 70 chaos. It's like 80 to 90 right now. So I basically doubled the price of Marohis for a single person, again, because this is a T0 unique. If there was more than just me purchasing these, Marohi would easily jump to 1 divine, as currently, right now, when I was purchasing them, there was only like 10 or 15 left that were under a divine. So if there was 2 people like me with the same idea to try to get a good unique item, it would basically become economically infeasible, because if there was 2 people, I would guess the current price of Marohis would be like 1.5 divines. And the same success rate numbers that I talked about for the Redblade Banner also apply to Marohi. So for Marohi, you want the first node to be flat damage, and then you also want some other synergistic nodes for physical damage. So there's a 10% or 15% phys roll, there's a pride roll, there's an impale roll, there's a CDR roll, there's a double damage roll. There's only realistically like 5 or 6 nodes that you want to get if you're looking to create a very high physical Marohi. Thus, instead of the 3 that you were looking for the Redblade Banner, maybe there's like 5 or 6 for Marohi, but still, the success rate is very, very low. Thus, again, if there was 2 people instead of just me purchasing Marohis, a success rate of 10% when the cost of each item is 1.5 divines, that's a 15 divine success rate just to see 1 node. And then if you're looking to make a 3 or 4 node item, then you're looking into the mere level of cost to make just a 4 node unique. Thus, I'm not sure if GGG knew that it was going to be this hard, because I'm just talking about creating a good 3 or 4 node item. I'm not even talking about a perfect item. So maybe there was a little bit of confusion at GGG or something, but getting a 4 node T1 or T0 unique is mere level of cost, which I don't think is very interesting. It's very limiting, obviously. So hopefully this video enlightens some people on how rare and how expensive it is to get a 3 or 4 node unique. And everyone talking about chancing being horrendous, you're right in the fact that chancing is horrendous, but the opposite is literally not even possible. Like I said, only like 10 or so people can possibly get an item if it's a T3 or a T2 unique without the market going crazy cost-wise, because you need hundreds of these to create a single 3 or 4 node item. But I will say the caveat to this is that 3 or 4 node uniques are legit insane. So I will put up a clip of me successfully making an insane Marohi. I got extremely lucky, I guess, but again, I was using good strategies, I guess. I did get lucky though, but this item was already insane for Cyclone Shockwave, but the 4 node Marohi that I made is legit disgusting. Like, it's what, 60 to 70% more damage than a Marohi Cyclone Shockwave would be from the previous leagues. So yes, while I guess a single person can generate this item on a weekly basis, having a 60 to 70% power creep on an item, I can understand GGG was a little bit hesitant in making these success rates a little higher, but I will agree, it does feel bad. So what I can suggest to people is that you go to PoE Ninja, try to find some uniques that people aren't buying up, buy 300 of them, merge them, get your item, and then be happy with it. And hopefully that item isn't a popular item that is used on many builds. So if you have any comments and questions, put them in the comments, and I'll get to them. Thanks.